Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Everyday EDC. Today, I have a throwback style review. Why do I call it a throwback? Well, you're looking at her. This is the Rat Model 1, made by Ontario Knife Company, and I originally bought this knife for the channel, and I hadn't, when you get into it, you buy your first knife and it's $10, and then you buy your next knife and it's $30, and you buy your next knife, and you probably jumped from $30 to maybe $100, $150. And the reason you made that jump is because if you're like me, when you got into the knife world, this budget style situation hadn't really taken off like it has recently. I'm cleaning up the blade in between rambling. So I decided I wanted to do a knife channel. To kind of satisfy my itch to collect knives, and it gives me an excuse to touch a bunch of different knives and, just enjoy a hobby that I can put to some sort of use. And so I had to get a Rat 1. Never had my hands on it before. Get this thing in my hands, and at first, it feels kind of clunky, especially if you're not expecting what you're about to put in your hands. And by clunky, your initial impressions, if you're anything like me, your initial impressions are, it kind of feels, I don't know, clunky is the best word. But after you get to using it, and after you hold it a couple times and then hold several other knives, you realize that clunkiness feel isn't a clunky feel, this is a badass feel. Now, badass, I mean, I can go do some fucking work with this knife and not be scared. Not only because of the price point, but because this thing's a fucking tank. It truly is. I mean, even just the way it opens, fucking howitzer, right? It's like, wow. So without further ado, let's get into the review of this. I'll go over some specs. I know most everybody has already seen this fucking thing. They've already read a million reviews, heard a million different things on it, and you know what? That's fine. I feel the need to do this because, as a reviewer, I don't feel it's right for me to review it or to use it as a comparison knife and have no intentions of reviewing it. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. First and foremost, this is a very large knife, or it's a large knife by comparison of other knives, so it's not small. 5 ounces on the dot, which is pretty badass, and after this I'm going to look that up to see if that's what it calls for, because that's awesome. Let's get into length of the knife. Fuck. That was even I hit the blade on the way out and it still was like whap. Alright. This is coming in at 8.6 inches with a 3.6 inch blade with a cutting edge of about 3 1/4. Wrong. We can check our hardware real quick. So we have a T6 body screws and a hell of a lot of them. There's, looks to be 5 on that side, 5 on this side, and then you got these freaking ammo clip of screws right here. So you guys can see what I'm doing. Ammo clip of screws right there. You got these 5 here, these 5 here, and a T8 pivot head. And I'm going to take this pocket clip off and adjust this right now because this isn't the way that people genuinely carry knives, and it's covering up my other pivot, which annoys the shit out of me. So give me a second here. Screws are coming out fairly easy. I don't feel like, no, they have some blue Loctite on. And they're big ass screws. You guys see how fucking big these things are? Like, you guys didn't realize you're turning to an Ontario Rat channel where this dude's trying to fucking take out his goddamn pocket clip. Oh, show me how to change the pocket clip on a fucking Ontario Rat. Okay. Yeah. Alright. So, if you look here, there's 2-sided Torx heads, which on the pivot, I think that means I'm gonna need to adjust both of them when tightening up. Because it probably doesn't have a D-shaped pivot, which is fine. I mean, this is, I don't know how old this knife is. This is like an 8 or 9 year old model knife, which is badass as shit. So yeah, there's the pivot. I'm not gonna. Yeah, you know what? You guys can sit there and watch. Those of you that are interested, continue to watch and listen to me babble. Those of you that aren't, get that fuck out of here. Okay. No disrespect intended. It's all in jest. What a dumbass. You dumb mother. So, yeah, what I'm doing is kind of standardizing this pocket clip, right? We typically use pocket clips on, like you can see here, they're usually set like that. Not that it matters, and most of us, you know, we have our preferences, but who really gives a damn? Once again, it's like one of those where it's like, yeah, just do what you want to do, don't really care what the community expects, but unfortunately, what the community expects is kind of what's standard, and what's standard feels normal. So anything feeling abnormal, it's just not going to work with you. A prime example of that is that PM2 compression lock. I first got it, and I hated it. I was like, this fucking sucks. And then I started using it, and I used it over the weekend, and I fell in love with the damn thing. So, all right, back into it. Ergonomics. Great. There is, I will venture to say that if you've ever held a Rat Model 1, there is probably no better ergonomically fit knife. Yes, that's a sentence. So, yeah, the ergonomics on this are just absolutely insane. Like right here, I am so locked in and so comfortable and ready to do some shit. Now, the only thing that might beat it is this Manix 2, and this actually doesn't feel as good in some spots just because it feels a little bit more rigid, whereas it feels like a thinner knife because you got more broad here. But, you know, so you're locked in here. This one, you can choke up and do some work too. And that's why this one's ergonomics are probably, I would say, better. But we're talking about ergonomics on a scale of 1 to 10, we're talking at ergonomics from the 9 to 11 range, right? Making up the 11th number just to make this make sense. So for a $35 knife, you don't get better ergonomics. They're insane. You got these, I think these are G10. I don't remember if the handle's G10 or FRN. Shame on me. I got the AUS 8 model because I'm a cheap ass and a broke bitch. So we were trying to get these knives to compare with the knives, you know, on the channel. And so I'm not going to go out and buy a D2 blade. It wasn't meant to be my user, although in order to review it, I used it, and I really want to carry it a lot more, just like the PM2, right? I have a review coming out soon on the PM2, and again, nobody will probably watch those because it's been reviewed to death, but I had to do them. It makes me better as a reviewer, it gives me a more baseline, and it helps you guys understand where I'm coming from. So enough babbling. This is a liner lock. Locks up pretty solid, about 50. Let's see here. Pretty solid. I mean, about 50% of the way. You know, the action on this after you break it in, it's not going to drop shut. It's on phosphor bronze bearings, but I mean, it's awesome. I mean, for the fidget factor with this when it comes to the sound, we'll say sound on the fidget factor is fantastic. You know, you can do the reverse flick. It's not as easy as some knives, but it's just fine. Do some little bit more specs. I'll compare it to some other knives, even though you see that on an everyday fucking basis, because I use this as an everyday EDC. But he used his fucking zero that bitch out. What are you doing? Blade stock thickness coming in 100 thousandths. Is my micrometer fucked up? Because that doesn't sound right. 110 thousandths. PM2. 120 thousandths. 20 thousandths there. Seriously? I feel like this thing's fucking with me, guys. Alright. What was the fucking Newport? $100,000 is probably 95,000. See, that looks like a fucking thick-ass piece. So 110 thousandths. Maybe closer to, yeah, it's about 110 thousandths on the blade stock, which I'm going to look that up and see if my micrometer is even worth using at this point. 20 thousandths behind the edge. 30 thousandths behind the edge up top because it has less of a way to do that flat grind. 30 thousandths. It is a fully flat ground blade, which is great. It's made in Taiwan, Rat Model 1, AUS 8, Ontario Knife Company. You know, you got this pocket clip, which is pretty obtrusive. I carry it in my carpenter pants lower pocket by the hammer, so and I don't carry a hammer, but it's not a problem for me. Putting it in your pocket, it may be slightly, because you got this much sticking out. Everything's rounded off. I wouldn't say chamfered, it's just kind of rounded off. And you know, you got some jimping up here where the thumb ramp is. You have no, I guess you could grab it like that, but you have no real finger choil or sharpening choil. The finger choil, I guess you can call it right here in the scales, but there's a lanyard hold down at the bottom, which really isn't emphasized in any of the design other than the carry, or other than the pocket clip, maybe, because otherwise you might be able to lift it up about 1/4 inch, but whatever. Thumb studs are fine. I mean, they're nothing special. They're comfortable enough to use, and yeah. So let's get into a couple comparisons. We'll rip through the rest of my thoughts on this knife real fast, because I know nobody really gives a shit. So if you're actually sitting here watching about the Rat Model 1, first of all, I recommend you do. Just because if you've never experienced it, experience it. I mean, it's $35. Fucking just do it. Anyways, PM2, Manix 2, Rat Model 1. And forgive me, Rat Model 1, I call you the Rat Model 2 all the time because of the PM2 and using it. So, the smaller breed of knives, you can see the Rat Model 1's a fairly large knife. It's definitely not medium or schmedium. And the last one I'll do, because I'm just kind of droning this on. You got your feldspar. Dude, get back out there, you badass thing. And your mini feldspar. Still dwarfing the feldspar and the mini feldspar. And let's see here. Last, but certainly, what the fuck? I got another fucking knife in my pocket. Jesus. But certainly not least. The new, the great, the Benchmade Super Freak. So, comparing these two in size, about the same-ish. The Benchmade Super Freak may be a little bit shorter in the handle, but a little bit longer in the blade length. Keep you here because you're like my baby right now. So, thoughts on the Rat Model 1. If you want a knife that you can beat the shit out of, get this. If you don't want to deal with the CJRB, Civivi, you know, keep up with the times and buy the latest fucking knife that they came out, get this. Because after holding this in my hands and reviewing all the Civivis, or most of them, and then reviewing, you know, the CJRBs, and then seeing how Civivi's coming out with this fucking Civivi, what is that called? The Mastodon? Have you... Oh, yeah. So I took some pictures. Yeah, fuck, I'll make this a separate video. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at here is this is so solid, you can fucking toss this across the room and not worry if it's going to chip or whatever. And, you know, with the AUS 8 material, everybody gets the D2 because the D2 holds its shit a little bit longer, but the AUS 8 is going to be a little bit more corrosion resistant and a little less edge retentive, but it's so much easier to sharpen. So if you're a guy that likes sharpening and all that jazz, this is the fucking knife for you. If you don't like how long this knife is, they have a Rat Model 2, which I have on the way for a comparison video. And I'll show you guys that when it gets here. But I'm not knocking CJRB or Civivi in this thought process. It's kind of like being into muscle cars versus rice burners, right? You know, back when the Tokyo Drift for fucking Fast and the Furious came out, it's like, what do you want? Do you want Vin Diesel's car, or do you want that, you know, hot Asian chick's car that goes really fast but crumbles? Like, you know, it's like one of those. So pick your poison. If you're somebody that works in construction or something of that nature, don't fucking get a Civivi. Don't get anything on bearings. Get something like this. If you're a guy that just likes to carry it, fidget with your knife, and use it every now and then, and you're kind of doing it just because you like doing that type of stuff, that's different, you know? But if you're looking for a badass fucking tool, that's where you go. The Rat Model 1 and the Rat Series, oh my god, badass tools. You know, I posted this earlier today, a review, not a review, but an unboxing of the QSP Penguin. Again, this, while it's got its a little bit of flair with the fucking micarta scales and shit, this reminds me kind of the Rat series. And why? Yes, you're going to be like, what the fuck? What are you talking? I'm not watching this guy no more. Why? Because this feels more solid. It's on a phosphor bronze washer. You know, the action on it's just fine. And do I feel like I'm going to break this knife? No. I mean, it feels not more solid than the others, but it just, I don't know. There's something about, maybe it's the phosphor. I'm fucking rambling at this point. What I'm saying is this is a badass tool. And its slicing power. Let's see if this proves any points. I don't know if this is going to work or make me look stupid. I've used this and never sharpened this fucking knife. You know? And they put that into perspective. This is a piece of paper. Like, it's not like a big sheet of paper that you can just, right? So a little piece of paper, which is way harder to cut because it's a little bit more flimsy, you know, it slices. The sliceability on this thing's just awesome. Does that mean we don't want the Benchmade Super Freaks? Which to me is like a high quality fucking, you know, flashier version of a Rat Model 1, which is not a knock on it whatsoever. You know, rambling. That's about it, guys. I gotta stop it because I'm just fucking keep going. The Rat Model 1, the Rat Model 2 series, check them out if you haven't. Drop the money just to do it and to say you did so you have this thing in hand. I don't say that about many knives. I don't say just go out and fucking do it. Just go out and do it. And appreciate this for what it is and the path that it paved for all the other knives, because this set the standard. There's a King Civivi. This is the King budget knife for like 10 years. The King. When it came out, it just shocked the world. It was beating the shit out of every other fucking knife anywhere near its weight class, and then moving up and then some. So check it out. You know, pay the respects to this knife just by appreciating what it was and where it came from. And more than that, appreciate the fact that it's a badass tool. You know, the fidget factor on it's okay, but when you thwack it open, oh jeez, man. You know, I didn't even move my wrist and you get that freaking action. I never took this thing apart. I have oiled it. The centering on it's still good. Yeah, so that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the Rat Model 1. My name is Tyler. This is Everyday EDC. Thank you guys. Stay safe. Stay sharp. Keep your fucking masks on. Let's get through this shit together. Have a great day.